Hard sports all plays. Yeah. Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Hard sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Hard sports all plays.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the ASAP Afternoon Blitz here on Friday, June 30th, 2023. I'm Chris Gonzalez. Hope everybody's having a great Friday. Got quite a bit to talk about today. Harden opts in with the 76ers, but just to get traded, which don't make a whole lot of sense. Kyrie Irving want to go visit with the Suns. KD really want to team up with Kyrie again. How much sense does that make? And what would the Dallas Mavericks do if Kyrie does leave? What are they going to do to try to build a team around Doncic? NFL suspended players for gambling. A couple of them one of them was a Colts player, two of them. The Colts have already cut both of them off their team. But we got so there's quite a bit going on in the sports world. Joined by Jay McLovin. How's it going, Jay?
Hey, it is going well. Rob Scott is also with us. God, it's going to be a good show. Anytime Rob shows up, I'm sure Mike Hughes will be in tow. And at some point, I fully expect Frankie the Yankee to make an appearance. It's going to be great, man. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. Pretty much everything you just said and talked about doesn't make sense to me with all these guys doing what they're doing. I just want to say this, though, man. I was harsh on the Astros yesterday. I gave them a full evaluation of where I thought they were at. And what do? They go out today, yesterday, and they blow out St. Louis 14-0. And I want to put it on record that Kyle Tucker continued to do great things. He got 5 RBIs. One of them came the way of a home run. And Bregman got, I think, his 3rd grand slam yesterday. So what a time to be alive. And they shut him out, man. So JP France, he didn't screw it up for us. And Chris, I don't know what it is. Maybe every day I just got to be hard on the Astros, and maybe I'll get the kind of performance I want, right?
Hey, you never know. And we're also joined by Rob Scott from Rob's 2 Cents and the ASAP Sports Network. How's it going, Rob?
What's happening, y'all? Jay McLovin, Chris Gonzalez. Good to see these beautiful faces. How you guys doing?
I'll tell you how I'm doing. I'm hot, Rob. I'm damn hot. It's like 110 degrees. It's the last day of June. First day of July is tomorrow. I got people in a forest where I'm building my house, Rob, that are asking if they can light fireworks. Now, that makes about as much sense as Kyrie Irving thinking he can fit in with the Pheonix Suns. Let me see. You want to light fireworks. You want to light fireworks.
What are you, Jay? Are you the fun police or something? It's 4th of July.
Hey, listen. Hold on. I'm all about fun, bro. I'm all about fun. You know that. But listen, you tell me it ain't rained in the forest in over a month. It's 110 damn degrees, and the timber is dry as shit. And you want to light a firework that causes fire in that kind of environment, you might as well just ship me off to Canada.
Hey, bombs away.
Hey, get the water hose out there, spray the grass.
Hey, listen, I told that lady, if I see you lighting a firework, hey, I want my money back.
I'm about to say, you'll hate to come to my neighborhood. Are you going to hear boo, boo?
And I'm okay with it. Just don't light it in an area where you know damn good well it's going to be a forest fire.
We'll test some stuff up. If we had that open area you got, it's bombs away.
Can you imagine if you had Canada fires in the north, California fires in the west, and Houston fires in the south? I mean, what would you go? Nebraska, maybe? Maybe you might be lucky in Nebraska. I'm going to Florida.
Hey, there was people all around here last night lighting off fireworks, and I said, man, and it's not even the weekend yet. And it was like 1 o'clock in the morning last night. And you heard them all night long.
Dude, it was just a segment on the news. Somebody stole a truck full of fireworks.
Well, he's probably going to go to sell them. Hey, he's probably going to Chicago to sell them.
Hey, they're going
to have a fun week. They're going to have a fun weekend. They're going to have a fun weekend if you have a whole truck of fireworks.
A truck of fireworks. Could you imagine, like, what you could get into with a truck of fireworks?
Hey,
but
I don't want to imagine.
What do you guys think about James Harden opts in with the 76ers just to explore, just to be traded, to explore a trade? And rumor is Knicks and Clippers are two of the favorites. Is it worth for them teams to go after them for what they're going to have to give up to get them, especially a team like the Knicks? Do you really want to give up a lot of your young guys for aging Harden? Excuse me.
I mean, we know Harden is aging, but he did show a little bit of what he can still do. And I hate to say this, but even James Harden now is still better than probably 60% of the league. So you're going to have to give up something to get him. But when it comes to him opting in, I think that was just smart on his part because you actually can move a little bit better. Now, I just found this out by watching my sports TV, but you can move a little bit better by being opted into a contract as opposed to being a free agent. Because you're limited in what you can do as a free agent, as opposed to being opt-in. Now you can opt in and go tell this to, hey, let's go ahead and get equal value for me, but I'm going to make sure I get my money first. And the reason I'm making sure I get my money first is because I already gave y'all a team-friendly deal the first time. So now me opting in this contract, I'm at least guaranteed this paper.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no doubt. Hey, Chris, before I say my little two spiel on it, could you please care to explain?
Frankie!
Oh, man, I was sitting on the fucking porch last night, and my dad decided it was a good idea to feed this cat that's been roaming around the neighborhood, and the people that used to live next door to us would always feed it. Well, since they left, Dad decided that he was going to feed this cat. So now this cat, of course, hangs around the house. Well, I'm sitting on the porch. I didn't realize the cat was on the porch. Next thing I know, I hear a noise, and that cat's like right next to me. I'm going to get the stairs. Scared the shit out of me. Big old meow right.
Oh, man. I just see Tony coming in hot, man. So
that's hilarious. Just looked up like, what the haberdashery? This cat
Chris says invasion of the cat snatchers, man. Hey,
cats are quiet, dude. As a cat owner, like it's been times I've like looked over in bed, my cat is laying there. I'm like, when the hell did you get up here?
Oh yeah, snuck right up beside me. I had no idea it was dark out there anyway. I didn't have the porch light or nothing. No, I'm out there listening to the fireworks and smoking a cigarette. Next thing I know, I hear a big old meow, and I look, and it's like right next to me. I almost fell off the stairs.
Man, hey, listen, my cat be doing the same damn thing. I'd be opening up drawers. Doesn't matter, drawers, cabinets, closets. That cat will come out of anything and anywhere. And I'm like, how the hell do you even get in the damn dish closet? But I don't know what they do, but they do. Hey, real quick. So James Harden, I don't know if y'all saw this or not. Frankie, I don't know if you even saw this, man. But Jalen Green says some controversial things about James Harden on the Paul George podcast, talking about, he didn't know if he would help him or hurt him and things like that. And apparently James Harden didn't really like that too much. So I think the idea, and Jalen Green, thank you for saying that, because I really did not want Harden to come into Houston. I didn't. And the fact that you said that, it looks now, like Chris said earlier, he's probably going to go to the Clippers or the Knicks. But at the end of the day, I still think, like Rob Scott said, he is better than a large segment of the NBA community. But I think we just need to develop what we have.
I agree. Like, I wouldn't want to see him go. I think that's the type of veteran that will hinder them. Like they talking about Kyrie possibly going to Houston. I wouldn't like that for those young guys. That's not the veteran you want coming to you. Not saying that these guys can't play, but I'm talking about from a mind state. Kyrie still want his. You know what I mean? And you want to see these young boys shine. Because they got the speed, they got the athleticism. I think they just need the direction.
No, What's Kyrie going to show these young players how not to play basketball and be worried about?
Oh Lord, how much!
Hey,
I'll tell you right now. Hey, the only vet that I would have really liked
Kyrie has been good lately. He's been good lately. So I hate
He has been good lately. I will give him that.
Hey, the only vet I would have liked to see come back to Houston would have been Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul's leadership, his veteran skills, that's a guy that could benefit us. And now, if you bring Chris Paul back for that, hey, I'm okay. I'm good with that. I don't want to trade for him because I don't want to trade our trade bait.
He's trying to get a ring, Jay.
Man, and he'll probably get it, or at least he has a good shot at getting it out there at Golden State. I think he'll mesh well. Chris Paul will mesh well with anybody. You know that.
Yeah.
He's not going to get it with Golden State.
Hey, look, and all the things he commented on, now he comes in, Frankie coming in hot.
No. I'm not saying it because like Golden State can't win a ring. Obviously, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, if they bring him back, they can definitely get a ring. I just don't think they are. Like I said, and I'm going to stick to my prediction from last year going into this year because I said last year he's got 3 years left in his career of playing basketball. Now I'm giving him 2 years left. And if he doesn't win a ring within the 2-year span, or actually by this year with Golden State, he's not winning a ring at all. Because if you look at the West, if you really look at the West, you got Marcus Smart now running with Ja Morant in Memphis. That's a little bit dangerous. That's way more dangerous than having Dylan Brooks with Ja Morant.
It is.
I agree. Now you have a really hot Denver Nuggets who just won the NBA championship. You got the Lakers who literally turned their season around at the trade deadline point. Like you have so many potential teams in the Western Conference that's so tough for the Golden State Warriors. I mean, they win 7 games with Sacramento and then lost in 6 to the Lakers. I don't think that Chris Paul's going to win a ring with Golden State.
Hey, but I will say this: Ray Bond does chime in, saying that CP3 is trash. I don't know if he's trash, Ray. I agree probably where you're coming from. Hey, I agree kind of where he's coming from, though, in terms of he's not the same Chris Paul that he was, back in the day. But that man can still do 2 things, and I think still makes him valuable. 1 is lead, and 2 is facilitate. So if you look at it from a leadership and a facilitator standpoint, I don't think he's trash. He's not the same CP3.
Yeah, I mean, he's still not trash. I would say
CP3 is not trash, yeah.
I would say Chris Paul is better than 60% of people in the league right now.
I mean, if Chris Paul is trash, I don't know what he's watching. I mean, this man went to a underrated Oklahoma City Thunder team and ended up taking them to the playoffs.
4th place in the Western Conference, by the way.
Exactly. I don't know what he means by Chris Paul being trash. If you want to say someone's trash, you throw Kevin Durant's name in there. He's trash.
Frankie, what do you think about Frankie? What do you think about Harden opting in his contract to be traded? Where do you think he ends up, and what do you think the 76ers do to try to replace him?
So I laughed about it yesterday because it's real funny that you go ahead and you take your contract, but then decide like, hey, I'll sign my contract for 30+ mil, and you know what, just trade me. Okay, they'll do it. I thought that was funny. And then I go on ESPN this morning, I'm watching and potentially strong potential that he might end up with the New York Knicks. And I see what the Knicks will probably give up. They're giving up 3 young studs and about a 2nd-round draft pick for next year. Maybe even two draft picks of a 2nd-rounder for next year and the year after that.
Well, hey Frankie, real quick, what three players was it that they were going to give up? Do you remember?
Oh my God, I don't. They're like bench player names that barely had any.
Toppin?
No, definitely not Obi Toppin. No, they didn't throw his name in there.
Obi Toppin, boy, he got.
They did mention Josh Hart. They did mention him, and then they mentioned 2 other players that literally gets no playing time. But I don't know their name, Chris, from the top of my head. I have to go back and look at it. But I just with those 3 players alone, and with 2 draft picks, I don't think that's worth for James Harden. That's absolutely insane.
I don't think that'll work because if I'm the Knicks, I want the ball in Jalen Brunson hand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want Jalen Brunson playing off the ball. He plays better when he's in control.
And I wouldn't even give them Josh Hart because Josh Hart, he's a good player. He just
dog.
didn't show up in the playoffs.
He's a dog, but he's a dog though.
Hey, Wait, are you saying that he doesn't show up in the playoffs? Kind of like James Harden doesn't show up most of the time in the playoffs? Wow, that's a lateral move.
But it's ridiculous for James
Hart
Harden.
showed up in the first round of the playoffs,
Yes.
but he didn't show up in the second round of the playoffs.
Yes, Chris. Yes.
I mean, with Harden,
So you're saying that Harden is inconsistent?
It got to the point he wasn't even trying to shoot, dude. He wasn't even trying to make it. Like, he got to the rim. I remember them showing the replay on the play because even the announcers was dumbfounded. Like, bro, he got to the rim and you kicked it out to the three. If you don't lay that damn ball up, like, I would have benched him right there and there. If I was that, hey, come here, come sit by me, because you obviously don't want to play.
But if it's me, just because hold on. Just because we're hearing that the potential of James Harden going to either the Clippers or the Knicks, don't be thinking that that's 100% accurate. Jay, I understand that you don't want him to go to Houston. I'm not saying he's going to go to Houston, but don't sit there and see that the Clippers and the Knicks are going out to potentially trade for him. There could be an underdog team that literally just comes out of nowhere and just swoops him and gets him for dumb
Right.
dumb
No,
stuff.
I understand that. I was just saying I don't think he goes to Houston because, like I was telling the guys a minute ago, I don't know if you were here for that or not, but Jalen Green had made some comments about Harden on the Paul George podcast, and it really pissed off Harden. So I don't know. I think that might have. Hopefully, I hope it's soured him because I don't want him to come to us. But I think even if he goes to like the Clippers, I mean, what's that really going to do for the Clippers if Paul George or what's that other dude's name over there? Kyrie Leonard. What if they don't play?
Kawhi.
That's what I said. Kawhi Leonard. If Kawhi's not on the court, what's James gonna? How is he gonna benefit? You gotta have your boys on the court in order for it to mean something.
No, I mean even with that though, you bring in a guy like James Harden who can, like, in the regular season, hold down the fort when everybody's gone. So if you're gonna have injury problems with Paul George and Kawhi, then you can let James Harden go for a 40-point game every now and then. But with them two on the court with James, now you let James do what he want to do, and then just pass the ball. He just want to get people in positions and get them good shots. Remember, last year we saw for the first time in a very long time that a player was the leading scorer and his running mate was the leading assist getter in the league. So James Harden can pass that rock. And
I get that.
With somebody like Kawhi and PG there, it definitely, especially because they're talking about getting rid of Westbrook.
Oh, and I'm okay with that, but I'm just saying that Kawhi Leonard's not even on the damn court. How's he going to pass to him? What's he going to pass to him?
Then you let James Harden have a flashback game.
And the Clippers are a deep team. If they don't give up a lot of their depth to get Harden, they have a lot of depth on that team.
Yeah, they do. Like Norman Powell, they got one of the Morris twins, and you got what's my big boy? What's the big center name? Zubac.
Yeah. Former Laker right there.
They got some Ibaka Zubac. That's his name. But yeah, they got some good players, man. Like the Clippers. Remember they were in a pretty good position last year, and Kawhi didn't really play that whole season, and George only played like half a season.
I don't
know. When I look at the Clippers, I just see a bunch of mismatched pieces over there and no real chemistry, no real. Like I said, if Paul George and Kawhi aren't even on the damn court, who really cares about Zubac or Powell or whoever else you bring over?
Jay,
it's true, man. It's true. Nobody taking the Clippers serious.
Do you not see how Zubac plays?
I'm not taking them serious. I'm sorry, man. It's kind of like that. It's like that. What? Always a bridesmaid, but never the bride.
Clippers would have beat the Suns. Clippers would have beat the Suns last year in the playoffs if Kawhi.
Yes, but see, the key word is would have. The key word is always with the Clippers would have.
Hey, they let Westbrook come out there.
Would have done that.
They let Westbrook come out there and go crazy. What you talking about?
Hold on, Jay. Don't be saying that would have, because you're still on that. Well, the Rockets would have won the championship if Chris.
Oh Lord, come on! Now I know you're not going to go that direction because look, CP3 went down with injury. Okay, I know it's over at that point, but before CP3 goes down with
injury, so you can't say that.
Kawhi Leonard half the time is load managing. Come on, don't put that in there like that.
They did say
What
that
I'm
he
saying
had
is,
real
without
knee problems.
Kawhi, even without Kawhi Leonard, with Russell Westbrook leading that team, that they almost beat the Suns. The Clippers are a better team than you're giving them credit
Yes,
for.
they are. Yes, they are.
I didn't say they weren't a good team. I just said they're never going to win a damn championship. It's just a bunch of woulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda shit.
Not, they not. If Kawhi is not there when you need him, they won't.
If you think that the Clippers are going to win a championship in the next 5 years, okay, I'll take that. Hey, easy money. Put me on that bet card.
I'll tell you like
they
this.
have a better chance of winning the championship in the next 5 years than Houston does.
See, why are you coming at my Houston Rockets? See, that don't even make no damn sense. See, no, that don't. I'm sorry, that don't make no damn sense. Okay, if you're gonna say that shit, well, they got a better chance than the Pacers do. Let the Pacers keep doing Reggie Miller Pacers.
Have you heard me saying the Pacers are going to win a championship?
Why are you talking about the Rockets? I never talked about the
Pacers
Rockets.
aren't going to win a championship.
See, Frankie, that's some Frankie shit. Frankie brought the Rockets up.
Don't talk about JT when he's cutting.
You're talking about my team. Well, why are you all always talking about him? I wasn't even talking about him.
But it is true though, and I'm not gonna knock the Houston Rockets out. Like they do have a better chance of winning the championship within the next 5 years than the Houston Rockets, and the only reason for that is because the Rockets are full of young star talents that are gonna develop. That's the only reason. The Clippers.
I'll tell you right now, hey, like Frankie said, man, the only positive feeling I have for the Rockets, I think they finally made the right choice in head coach. I wasn't a Steven Silas guy. I liked his dad, Paul, but I wasn't a Steven Silas. Even when we was with the Mavericks, I just wasn't that guy. I wanted them to go after. I really wanted to get Mark Jackson, but that just never came to fruition. And now that they got Udoka, I know Udoka could do some things. He saw what he did out there with the Celtics. Granted, he had Tatum. Granted, he had Brown. I get all that too. But I think he can lead this team, right, of upsided guys. They're upsides, right? The Rockets got some really good upsided guys. They just need somebody to develop them and bring them together. And I'm hoping that Udoka can do that for them.
Yeah, I think what Houston needs is a strong leader. And
you know what's funny? Go ahead, Rob. Finish what you're saying.
Oh, no, I was just saying. I think Houston just needs a strong leader, and
we do absolutely,
and a great coach in Udoka. So Houston, they got some upside, but more of the conversation, man. Don't count a team out if Kawhi gonna be there. We saw what he did with Toronto.
All I'm gonna say is it's funny to hear Jay say what he just said. But I guarantee you, if the Rockets end up only getting 20 wins this season, he's going to want a new coach.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, it is true, Jay.
No, that's not true.
Jay, it is true.
That's not true. How are you going to say that? That's not true. Wait, what history level do I ever have that? I've never had a history of that.
Let me say it because I know you better than anyone. When anybody on your sports team, Dallas Cowboys, Houston Astros, not yet because Dusty's a really good manager for baseball, but Houston Astros before Dusty, the Dallas Cowboys with Mike McCarthy, and before that, and now Houston. Whenever your team is failing, your first priority is to fire the coach. That's out of your mouth.
That's not true. Okay. Let's take what you just said. Hold on. Let's take what you just said and let's break it down for a minute because you said some things, but let's break it down for what it really is. I said since day one when they got Mike McCarthy that I didn't want Mike McCarthy. I said this is day one. I said day one I wanted Payton, first of all. So don't even go that way with Dallas Cowboys on me. And we all know the problem with Dallas Cowboys. A big problem is Jerry Jones. So that whole Dallas thing, you got to put that off to the side. That's negated. The Astros, hold on. The coach for the Astros got him was Hinch. And Hinch, I liked Hinch. I had no problem with Hinch.
Lies.
And I had no problem with Dusty Baker. What do you mean lies? How's that a lie? That's Astros. Okay, let's Rockets. I said day one, I wanted Mark Jackson and not Paul Silas. And what do? They go get Paul Silas.
What they do.
So everything you said makes no sense. All those coaches, I would never want any of those coaches since day one.
It makes absolute sense because
it makes
Mike McCarthy.
Is you wearing a tank top on the show, but I couldn't wear a tank top.
Before it was Mike McCarthy, it was Jason Garrett. Before Jason Garrett, it was Wade Phillips. You wanted them all.
Yeah, and you thought Jason Garrett was a good coach?
All gone. Jason Garrett is a good coach. He's just not good
with
Dallas.
When Jason Garrett left Dallas, how did he play? How did he fare after he left Dallas?
Jay, let me say this to you right now. After Jimmy Johnson,
Come
who was
on.
a good? Who was it after Jimmy Johnson? Who was a good coach for you guys? No,
The only coach
the Dallas Cowboys
hold on.
are not good.
Okay, hold on. So after Jimmy left, the only coach that I thought actually was really good, and I'll tell you why, because he had really good discipline over the Cowboys, was Wade Phillips. I thought Wade Phillips was good because we didn't commit as many penalties. Our penalties were way down. If you look when Jason Garrett took over, our penalties rose sky high. And if you look at the time we went against San Francisco, not that far back, how many penalties did we commit in the first half? Correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 13. I have not liked the coach one that Dallas has brought in. And why, Frankie? Because they're all yes men. We all know that. If you're a yes man, that's who Jerry Jones wants. I wanted Sean Payton. I did like Wade Phillips. I thought Wade Phillips was great, like I said, with the discipline. But that whole Cowboys thing, after Jimmy Johnson, come on, man. Everybody wouldn't like those coaches because they're yes men.
Chris, you believe it? Chris, do you believe this that's coming out of his mouth?
I think he does because Chris is an intelligent person.
No, because Chris even knows that the first thing you do every time your team is
why is it me? How the hell are you coming after me? Is this where we going? All right,
because
let's go there.
We were just talking about it. Because we were just talking about it for the last 5 minutes. That's why we're talking about you.
Hey, stat guy, what do you think
And
about
don't come at me. And don't come at me with a tank top just because I'm able to fit into a tank top. All right, don't get mad because I'm able to fit into a tank top and they don't have tank tops in your size.
Have you seen yourself lately? Have you seen yourself in the mirror?
Yeah, I'm looking at myself right now. I look good in a tank top.
Listen, you got a body mass index of 56.
And you have a body mass index of 112. Shut your fat ass up.
Look at this, man. Look at that, baby. Look at this. Look at this.
That's nothing for flubber.
We're also joined by Stat Guy. Stat Guy, what do you think about the James Harden situation here?
What was your question, Chris?
What do you think about James Harden opting in with the Sixers, going to get traded, and what do you think the Sixers will do to replace Harden?
Well, I think he mainly opted in because he does have that good relationship with the Sixers general manager. And if he does want to get traded, I think the general manager of Philadelphia will at least listen to where he wants to go before making the deal. I just don't know what Philadelphia. Yeah, I just don't know what Philadelphia is honestly going to be able to get for him because he's 33 going on 34 this year. He's not the player he was back when he was in Houston scoring 30 points per game. He really hasn't been consistent anytime he's gotten to the playoffs. No one's going to give you a first-round pick for him. I mean, I really realistically don't think Philadelphia is going to get what they want to get for him. So at this point, I think it becomes a waiting game, and maybe Daryl Morey and James Harden can settle the differences before training camp starts and they have a good year.
All right. And we also have, Kyrie Irving reported he's going to meet with the Suns. Do you think this is a good move by the Suns? And are you guys surprised that KD would even want to team up with Kyrie again after what happened in Brooklyn? We'll start with Jay. We'll start with you this time.
Yeah, man. It's going to be a whole other episode, I think, like we saw in Brooklyn, honestly. I think Frankie kind of hits it on the nail with KD. I hate to say it about KD because he's an old University of Texas product, even though he's actually out of Maryland. But he went to University of Texas. And I hate to say that about some fellow alumni from a school that I love a lot, but it is what it is, man. KD's got his issues. Ball dominancy with Kyrie when Kyrie decides he actually wants to come and play and show up. You got Booker, you got KD, you got Bill, which is another point guard that's going to want to have the rock. So who are you going to put on the bench? You paid a lot of money for Bradley Beal, only to throw him on the bench if you want to play a Kyrie Irving. So I don't know, man. I don't think this – honestly, I think this is a terrible idea. I think it looks great on paper if you're looking at, star-studded people, quote-unquote. But as a team, as a functioning team, as a team with chemistry, it's not going to work. I think this is going to be a damn disaster. I think this is going to be another New York Mets, high payroll, but no results. And again, they still don't have a damn bench.
Frankie, what do you think about this? And also to add on to it a little bit, what do you think Dallas will do to try to, if Kyrie does leave, to try to replace Kyrie to keep Luka happy?
I don't know if that was and do to make it. I mean, we went there. I mean, the Dallas Mavericks.
Frank, you're cutting out, buddy.
I didn't know if that was him or if that was my internet messing up.
No, he's out. He's outside. But he's definitely cutting in and out.
All right, let's go. Let's go with Stat Guy, and we'll come back to Frankie here in a second.
I mean, this is a terrible idea for the Suns just because kind of what Jay said. You're bringing in Bradley Beal, who's making close to $50 million a year. And all of a sudden, you want to bring Kyrie Irving into this mix? What, you're going to put a $50 million player on the bench? You're not sitting Devin Booker. You're not going to sit Kevin Durant. You're not going to sit DeAndre Ayton. You're not going to sit Kyrie Irving, which leaves Bradley Beal as the odd man out. So what was the point of bringing him in unless the sole purpose to bring Bradley Beal in was to basically give you some scoring punch off the bench?
Yeah, I can see your point there. Frankie, what was you saying?
Yeah, no. All I was saying was like, I mean, Luka, was he really even happy? I mean, like I said, before getting Kyrie, they were in the playoff, they were in the playoff picture. Then they get Kyrie, and they slowly get eliminated from playoff. Totally. I don't think anything could be that Mark Cuban does right now can make Luka happy unless you build a dominant team for Luka and then around Luka. I mean, he was probably happy when they had Jalen Brunson in Dallas. But for Kyrie, I mean, like Jay said, and we talked about it last night as well or yesterday. I don't think it's gonna fit really well. Like and like Dustin just said, if you get Kyrie in there, how is it gonna fit well with Bradley Beal after you just traded for him, a guy who's getting over $200 million in the contract? Unless like Dustin said, you're gonna have him ride the bench. I mean, that's ridiculous. And I said this to Jay last night on Unscripted as well. I mean, look at the potential lineup if you get Kyrie and you start Kyrie and Bradley Beal together. One of those two can either play point guard or shooting guard, but where are you going to put Devin Booker? In the small forward position? Are you going to put Kevin Durant in the power forward position? I would like to see who's.
Unless they go with the Golden State lineup and do that 3-guard set and run Irving, Booker, and Bradley Beal out as your 3 guards, and then just do a 2-forward set and really not play with the center.
But see, the difference with Golden State is Klay Thompson is tall enough to defend
I agree.
in the small forward position. If you have those 3 people in Devin Booker, Kyrie, and Bradley Beal, as the way you just said it, none of them guys are tall enough to defend small forwards in the NBA. It's not going to fit really well. It's not going to fit at all. I think their mindset is you put those guys together, you're just going to try to outscore everybody every game. I don't really think they even know. I know it won't. And it's not going to happen because Kyrie and to finish off what I was going to say, sorry, Chris, is
you're good.
We've seen the connection between Kyrie and KD in Brooklyn. They're really going to bring that to Phoenix. I mean, Phoenix should be smart enough. I understand they under new ownership and stuff, but you should be smart enough to know it didn't work well in Brooklyn between Kyrie and KD. It's not going to work well in Phoenix. I mean, and then again, also to finish off, if this does happen and Kyrie does end up going to Phoenix, everybody better start hopping off the LeBron James building super team type shit and start talking about KD, because this man has been on super teams since leaving OKC.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. Same points you guys have made. Plus, if you spend all that money to bring Kyrie in, you've already spent all this money to bring Bill in. You have no money left to fill out your bench, and that was your biggest problem last year when you got in the playoffs. Is your bench would come in and you would go -19, -20 when your bench starters was off the court. So you're not solving none of that by bringing this. You're just front loading your team more by bringing a guy like Irving in after already bringing Bill in. So I don't think it's a good idea either. And I don't see why Durant would have want to team back up with Irving after the Brooklyn experiment. Rob, are you back?
Yeah, I don't think he's back just yet. I just think, like you said, like we've all said, they're upgrading or they're bringing all these big name people in, but again, they're not really solving the problem. The problem again is still with their bench, and the problem again is chemistry. And when you get Kyrie Irving in there, you're really disrupting the chemistry. Number one, you're not really helping your team out. The only way you would help the only way that scenario works, I think the only way that scenario works, is if one of those two guys, either Kyrie or Bill, is willing to come off the bench and lead a second unit charge, then maybe. But one of those guys, neither one of those guys have the ego that would want that to happen. So I just think that's a bad move all the way around. But when it comes to Dallas, I still think that's the best move is moving on from Kyrie. Dallas lost so much when Jalen left, right? Kyrie is great. He's a super name. He does have good handles. I'll give him that. But he really just takes away from Luka. Whereas I think Brunson may not have had the big name as Kyrie does, but what he did for that team, the same thing he did for New York, was he complements Luka in a way that makes that team work. And when they lost Brunson, as you can see, they went straight to the toilet.
Well, another thing with the Suns, the thing that hurt them last year was defense as well. After they made that trade,
absolutely,
and got rid of
absolutely.
Kel Bridges, some of them guys that really hurt them defensively, and bringing in a guy like Irving, that's not going to help your defensively.
Oh hell no!
Jay, what you were saying about Dallas, I don't think it was so much that Irving took away from Luka. I think when they traded the guys they traded away to get Irving, they lost their defensive identity.
Well, that too. You're right. Yeah.
Because there was games where Irving and Luka was both score 40 points apiece, but they would still lose because they couldn't stop nobody from scoring.
Right. I just like Brunson because I think Brunson can score, but he's also a team guy. And Luka needs to be the superstar of the team. But he just needs other team guys that could complement. And you're right. When they lost Brunson, they lost that. When they lost the other defensive guys that they had, they lost it. I mean, you're right. I mean, so many levels, right? I just wonder how long Luka stays with Dallas before he goes to Mark Cuban and says, yo, trade me, whatever, but I'm not signing to come back here. I just wonder how much longer he's going to ride this before he gets tired of being in Dallas.
Yeah, that'd be interesting too, especially.
Luka is reminding me of a Shohei Ohtani type of thing. Luka's a really good basketball player in a really bad system. I mean, once Luka's contract is up, I think he's gonna sit down with Mark Cuban and say, "Listen, I'm not re-signing. You can either trade me and find me a team right now, and I'll ride out my last year with that team, and I'll look for somewhere else on my free agency, or just have me stay here for this final year. But I'm not re-signing." And I agree with you, Jay. I don't think Luka lasts long in Dallas. I really don't.
Free
Luka. Well, he could bring himself down to Houston, baby. I'll take his ass in any day of the week.
Free Luka.
Anybody will take him. Anybody will take Luka.
Oh yeah.
Hey Rob, what you think about Irving visiting with the Suns? Do you think that's going to work if they decide to do that?
Hell no.
And then also, what do you think Dallas needs to do to try to make Luka happy where he wants to stay there if they end up losing Irving?
You need to build a real team around him. You need to bring him a compatible star. Like Luka is already a person that keeps the ball in his hand 80% of the plays, 85% of the plays. Then you bring in Kyrie Irving. Are you serious? Like that just doesn't make any sense. So if I'm Dallas, I actually do want to get rid of Kyrie. I want to go try to build some real team. Like if I'm Dallas, maybe you look at the Mikal Bridges of the world. You look at the Marcus Smarts of the world. Get you some solid role players that can play defense because that's also where Luka lacks at, and that can knock down open shot. So, but as far as Kyrie going to Phoenix, hell no. You have no defense over there, and you have three guys, and Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and now Kyrie that need the ball in it. KD doesn't need the ball in his hand to be an efficient scorer, but those three guys do.
Yeah.
And no defense at all. Like, who are they going to stop? Who you going to have Bismack Biyombo out there as your center? Are you serious?
Bismack Biyombo. Sounds like Bisquick.
Don't get me wrong. He plays great defense, but he's just limited inside. There's nothing he's gonna be able to do with Embiid, and he damn sure ain't gonna do nothing with Joker. Joker gonna be barbecue chicken time.
And that was the Suns' two biggest problems last year after they made that Durant trade was depth on the bench and defense. And by bringing in Irving, you're not addressing either one of those.
Because you're gonna have to get rid of DeAndre to bring in Kyrie, unless Irving is really gonna take a veteran's minimum, and he's not gonna do that. He'd be stupid to do that. If I can make $50 million, if I can make $30 million a year, I'm gonna do that.
No, that's all right. You could just pay me $5 million a year.
You out your damn mind. You think I'm about to give up $45 million?
Man, hey, look, I take whatever they I'd play for the damn vet minimum and be happy with it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about if you.
I mean, that's me because I have no talent, so
if you have Kyrie still, ain't no with your business mind, ain't no way in hell you putting $45 million, leaving that on the table.
Man, hey, listen, if I'm Kyrie Irving, I would definitely be branding myself much better than the way he's branding himself for my business money making future. He's not doing it.
He's been good lately. He's showing up at WNBA games. He's showing his support.
Hey, listen, that's great. He showed up to WNBA. Why don't you just come to work and do your job and don't bitch and complain?
He came to work for Dallas. He came to work. That's what I'm saying. We gotta. Hey, I'm all about people growing. I'm not gonna hold on to your past forever. I just let you know that your past exists, and I'm watching you.
Well, that's and that's a valid look. I get that. And look, if Kyrie comes in and plays the whole season and doesn't do load management or doesn't take games off, and and is trying to help the team, I'd let the pass go too. But like you said, I'd have to see a whole season.
Yeah, I want to see, but right now he being good. So Kyrie, I'm with you. Do what you're doing. Stay out the way and get your money, brother.
I still wouldn't sign him to more than like a 2-year contract.
Hell no.
And if I do sign him to a 2-year contract, I hate to say it, but I'm putting clauses in there. Bro, if you start taking vacations, hey, you ain't getting paid.
No,
don't ask coming to get money when you're taking vacations.
No, you're going to have to pay me. Ain't getting paid. You got to get some of that money back.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you're gonna have to give it back. Shit.
Give me some of that money back, player. You're gonna start calculating games.
Man. Hey, listen, you're not lying though, man.
Man, y'all see ESPN just let Jalen Rose go and
yep. Jalen Rose, Van Gundy.
Yeah,
dude, they're clearing house. Todd McShay got let go. Well, we knew Max Kellerman got let go, but yeah, man. Hey, they're cleaning house over there.
Did they get rid of that whole trio? Or Jay Williams and Keyshawn Johnson still signed?
I think Keyshawn Johnson got released as well, if I remember seeing right.
Right. What is their motive for releasing? Are they just not? You think they're not bringing in the ratings, and that's why they're getting let go?
Well, according to what I read, this is all as a result of the pandemic, because you got to remember ESPN is ran by Disney. So not only did ESPN take a hit,
Disney lost a bunch of money.
Disney lost a lot of money because people
couldn't
go to these theme parks and resorts and things like that. So now you when it comes to the bottom line, people got to go.
Yeah,
like you said, hey, if your cash flow doesn't equal up to what you're paying out, yeah, that's not a good business model.
Well, it's been reported for a few months now that they were getting ready to make a bunch of cuts.
Yeah,
that's why there was some people complaining when they start the McAfee deal got announced, because they did that deal with McAfee in the midst of getting ready to make a bunch of cuts.
Yeah, but the thing is, McAfee brings the viewers.
Yeah, he's going to help them bring. He's going to help them. He's going to help them make some of that money back.
I'll rock with Pat McAfee.
But let me ask you this. So, all these guys are getting let go, right? The Max Kellermans and McShays and Gundys, whatever. How many of those guys do you see landing other deals with other networks? Like, how long do you think it is before they start picking up jobs elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. You might see a couple of these guys, especially if they're specialists at what they talk about. They might start popping up on some of these networks, like an NFL network, or NBA TV.
Was that MLB.com or something like that, or stuff like that? Yeah.
Yeah, so other than that, I think they'll be okay. And you might see guys actually go back to ESPN. Once
And
they
you might see a
recruit.
few of them go to Fox Sports.
Yeah,
But I think, and the ones that don't, what you'll see a lot, the other ones do is they'll start their own platforms. They'll run their own YouTube pages and
Right.
stuff like that. Because there's ways that, I mean, they can make money like that because they already have a name.
yeah. You look
Right,
at
they
guys
already have that brand. Like the Max Kellerman, I gotta imagine somewhere Max is gonna get picked
oh,
up.
Max might go back to boxing, especially now with the way that's his baby, his
Right.
boxing.
Oh,
So
I remember that.
I
Yeah.
seen Max come up through the boxing game. So and, right now you got all these super fights talking about happening. You got the Charlo brother going against somebody soon. It's supposed to be a super fight. You got the Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fight coming up. That's a super fight. All of these big time guys are actually starting to fight each other now. So I think it's Charlo versus Canelo, isn't it? It might. I think Canelo and Charlo might be going at it. So
I can't remember who it is. And you got Spence and
Spence
Crawford
and
are supposed to
Crawford,
be
yeah,
fighting.
and they coming up fight right. So I think there's always an avenue for a guy like Max Kellerman because he's just a well-rounded guy.
You
Right.
can't forget Diaz and Jake Paul.
Oh, right, you can't forget about that. I hope Diaz lay that
Oh,
man
Diaz knocks him the hell out.
lay that man out. Give him
Yeah,
some of that
no.
humble juice.
I just feel like, yeah, you're right. I remember Max Kellerman in that movie Rocky Balboa. Remember when he had that cameo, and I'm like, hey, look, there's Max.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's I remember him doing the face off with Mayweather and Ortiz.
Yeah,
So Max Kellerman, he's a boxing aficionado. Even Stephen A. Smith, when they would talk about boxing, he would always defer to Max because he's like, hey, this man knows the sport of boxing. So I'm finna eat, and then I got you. You can't come up here right now, cat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where some of these guys fall. Like Jeff Van Gundy, he's been involved with the NBA either as a coach and then with ESPN as announcer
Yeah.
for probably over 30 years now.
Wonder if Jeff Van Gundy throws his hat back in the coaching ring at some point.
Hey, it can happen.
I mean, he wasn't a bad coach. He was decent. He wasn't like a great superstar coach, but he did okay. I thought. He did okay there with the Knicks. He did okay with the Rockets. I mean, we weren't anything special, but.
Oh no, I thought Van Gundy's. I always thought Van Gundy's a good coach.
Van Gundy's a great coach. He's got a 575 career winning percentage. He's 440 and 318.
Yeah.
And he's 500. He's 44 and 44 in the playoffs, which is a 500 winning percentage, which is a better winning percentage than 6 of the playoff coaches last year.
Well, that tells you everything you know right there. I mean, when you get a better record of some of these playoff coaches, you got to think somebody would give him. I'm sure somebody would give him an opportunity if it arose and he put his hat back in the ring.
Yeah, it does. But does he want to coach? Because I mean, things are different now than what.
Yeah, I think at that point.
Yeah, talking about Van Gundy.
Yeah. I think he's probably happier being a broadcaster where he don't have to deal with all the craziness with dealing with players and egos and things like that. He can just go out there and talk about the game of basketball. At least that's how I would see it anyway.
Especially in today's league, these dudes are soft.
Yeah, I mean, you got to cater to a lot of stuff.
You can't tell them nothing. Back in the day, man, even I remember playing on sports teams. You can't take everything coach say to heart. Like, he's just telling you right now, you playing weak as hell. Man up.
That's the concept right there.
You'll be able to take constructive criticism, and nowadays it don't seem like many people can.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that.
Any other big free agency moves you think we might see this evening after 6:00?
It's today's the deadline, right?
Today's when it starts. Free agency begins at 6:00 this evening.
Okay.
I think Turner goes away from Indiana. I don't know who comes in place for him, but I think he has expressed an interest in running the league. And I would hate to see you guys give up Miles Turner. and not get anything in return. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know if he'll go anywhere this year just because they just signed him to that extension last year. We just traded Dorte, who we drafted just 2 years ago. But I figured we were going to trade him because his playing time went way down last year, and then we drafted that Shepard as well this year. So it didn't surprise me that they got rid of Dorte, especially with the emergence of Matherin last year. After we signed him, and he looks like he's going to be a pretty good player for us. So that didn't surprise me. But yeah, if they do get rid of Turner, hopefully they get something for him. But
yeah,
they don't need to get rid of Turner because right now our biggest weakness is defense and rebounding, and he can do both.
What a name, Dorte. Sounds like Deerte.
Well, they were saying him and
if his first name was Joe, that'd be great.
They were saying him and Buddy Hield were like part of the 3-team trade if Pheonix does get Kyrie.
I hope that don't happen unless we get something good back because I don't want to see Hield go either. I like Hield. He played good for us last year. Our biggest problem last year was defense and rebounding. We couldn't rebound with the hell, and we'd score 130 points a game, but we'd give up 140.
Yeah, because you guys, I like Tyrese Halliburton.
Halliburton.
Y'all got a good young guard.
I think Matherin's going to be a real good player for us. Because he was in Rookie of the Year talks there for part of the season last year before he had a couple injuries.
Yeah.
And then I think that Walker that they got in the draft could be a good player for us, and he can play defense as well. So I think he's going to fit in good with us.
Yeah.
What's up, that guy?
Not much. Just driving to Tennessee right now.
What you doing out in Tennessee?
My baseball team has our qualifying round for the national tournament this weekend.
Man, you're doing some driving. Hey, going from Wisconsin to Tennessee, that ain't no short drive.
8 hours.
Yeah.
Frankie says Matt Hasselbeck just got laid off from ESPN as well.
Oh, that sucks. I like Matt Hasselbeck on ESPN.
Yeah, he's been there. He's been there for a while too.
I think 10 or 11 years. Yeah, I think he's been there since he retired.
Wow, that's amazing.
We're damn close to being there since he's retired, which would be 10 years this year, I believe, or 11.
Oh yeah, that's wild.
And his brother with ESPN as well.
Tim, yeah, Tim's been there longer. Tim's been there for at least 15 years because Tim had a terrible NFL career.
There's a bunch of them going, and from what I'm hearing, there's still a lot more to come.
See, the thing is, though, that might not be the worst thing in the world for some of these people, like Jeff Van Gundy or like Matt Hasselbeck and things like that, because you look at Pat McAfee, and you look at the show that Pat McAfee has where he runs it on YouTube. You look at Dan Patrick's show where he basically has the freedom to kind of run his show how he wants to run it and put it on what networks he wants to run. Essentially, these people getting laid off from ESPN could ultimately start their own show with whoever they wanted to start it with, and they could broadcast it on any feed that they want to broadcast it on.
Yeah, and that's just like what McAfee's doing with ESPN. Yeah. ESPN didn't buy McAfee's show; they're just licensing it. Is all they're doing.
Because McAfee doesn't want to change who he is as like a person to be on ESPN. He's like, you can put my show on ESPN, but I'm not going to change the way I do things, which means if I want to cuss, I'm going to cuss. I'm not going to go on ESPN and basically change who I am.
Yeah, they're just licensing his
show. I think that's a smart move on his part.
He still owns everything. He's still going to be running it from Indianapolis in his building. I mean, the only thing that changes is now it's going to be on ESPN, basically. And like he brought up Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick's on. You can actually, he does the radio show on Fox Sports Radio, but you can watch his show on Peacock every day live.
And he used to have the rights with DirecTV too, so he used to be on DirecTV before they took him off of there, which is why he went on Peacock.
And he's still on Sirius as well.
Yep.
So what you're saying is he's not hurting for money.
Ooh.
I say he's got his hands in so many different things. I was like, he ain't hurting for money.
McAfee or Dan Patrick. One of them guys are hurting.
Oh, heck
Or
no.
even,
There you see what Bill Simmons did. He left and made his
Yep.
own company in the Ringer.
well, even
That's crazy to me.
Even
What's his
Nick Wright and Colin Cowherd too.
Cowherd has his own podcast network.
Nick Wright,
A lot of them guys. Cowherd has his own podcast network that a lot of them guys launched their podcast on.
Yeah,
I love Colin Cowherd too.
they were both.
And that's the thing, man. Once you start having more creative control over your own content, that's power. That's power, right?
You got to think about it, bro. Honestly, from an entertainment standpoint, people want to see authenticity. Your authentic self. Like I want to see original content. I want to see. Hell, sometimes you got to say somebody weak as hell. You know what I'm saying? Get your weak ass.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So
I watch McAfee show every day, and that's exactly why I watch McAfee show, because them guys are themselves. They don't change for anybody, and they just go out there, have fun, and are completely 100% authentic, and that's why I think so many people do watch it.
Yeah,
and I think that's.
I'll go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, I think that's the problem that a lot of people don't realize with ESPN too is when it comes to like the actual broadcasting of a sports game, they're fine at what they do for that because obviously that's kind of what they're getting paid to do. But then you have like Sports Center, you have NFL Live, you have all these other like shows that are on ESPN during the day. The hosts that are on these shows don't write their own content for those shows. It is literally typed up by a producer. It is literally typed up by a script writer, and they basically read the script they are given for that show. With Pat McAfee, with Colin Cowherd, they literally talk about the same things that ESPN talks about, but they do it in their way because of the person that they are. And I think that's what you're going to start seeing a lot more of these bigger networks are going to start losing shows like NFL Live, and they're going to start losing shows like NBA Fast Break and all these shows because the hosts of those shows are going to want to do it their way instead of having to follow a script that is given to them.
And like ESPN, you made a good point because about all I watch on ESPN anymore is the live sports broadcast. I don't watch a whole lot of their other shows. And like Sports Center, I used to watch Sports Center all the time, but now Sports Center is not as effective because of the internet, and you can get every highlight within seconds of it happening. You don't have to wait till Sports Center comes on this evening so you can see all the highlights like it was 20, 30 years ago.
Well, it's not Sports Center. It's not Sports Center anymore either. It's more like sports news. I remember as a kid and even an early teenager, I would wake up on Saturday morning and watch Sports Center, and I would get 20 minutes of baseball highlights straight through. Baseball highlights. And now you watch Sports Center, you get like one highlight of the game that was on ESPN that same day, and then all of a sudden they'll talk the next 5 minutes about the news going around.
Same thing during NFL season. I remember you used to see like all the NFL highlights. Now you might see a couple here and there. You don't see the highlights like you used to, even for NFL on there anymore.
I won't lie. Like I watch First Take every now and then, or I'll just watch segments on YouTube. I was watching Undisputed when Skip and Shannon were at that height. But other than that, I really watch internet shows. Like you said, I watched the Pat McAfee show. Mason Cameron, of all people, have started their own sports show. I watched that. It is hilarious as hell. Like, I want to see authenticism. That's why I get like we want to be professional here. But it's like, hey, sometimes I want to throw an F-bomb in somewhere, I feel like it's needed. Like, look at this fucking guy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I watch that Carton show on Fox Sports some mornings. I like him. That show's a little different. It's not just your regular old same show. My dad said, and I saw Dylan Beekson mentioned it earlier. Pacers might be getting Kyle Kuzma.
That'd be nice.
The only thing I think, hey Rob, but the only downside to original contact, what you're saying, like you could curse and do things like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, I like shows like that too. But the problem though is for that, or the problem you could run into is it becomes a niche market. In other words, you have to cater it to a certain demographic of people. Where as if you're running it generic, where you're not the cursing, but you're still giving out the information. Well, then you can go to a wider group of people, right? I mean, you can pretty much go to anybody, kids, all the way up to adults, to older. That's the downside to being in a niche market. You do kind of shrink it down a little bit.
I would argue that it's a niche market already.
I understand what you're saying, Jay, but look, I think the market that you're talking about, where if you're keeping everything clean and like your normal sports show, I think that market's shrinking now with the new generation. I mean, you look at McAfee, dude. He has like almost 3 million followers. They cuss. They do it how they want to do it. And people,
but you can't take Pat McAfee and throw him on ABC, CBS, or whatever because his show would never last.
He's getting ready to be on ESPN, which is part of ABC.
No, but ESPN is more cable. That's like cableized. I mean, like you can't put him like on mainstream television. You know what I mean? Like, but again, to a lot of our points, I think a lot of stuff is going away from mainstream TV and into cable.
Yeah, I mean, people don't really watch. I mean, dude, only time I watch mainstream TV is like in the morning if I'm watching the news for the weather.
Right.
That's about it. I mean,
it's true. I mean, I get that. I get what you're saying.
Local sports guy talk about sports. Hell no. I'm waiting on for Skip and Shannon to come talk about it so I can one time. You know what I'm saying?
I would argue with your point, Jay, that SportsCenter and these shows right now are niche marketed because the newer generation is not going to turn on SportsCenter to watch highlights. They're going to go to YouTube and type in the game they want to watch and watch the highlights that way. They could care less about the sports shows that we watched when we were growing up. So if you are to put somebody on there that does cuss and that does swear, I don't think it's going to take away from the market because I think the market has already shrunk so much with the new generation having all that access to YouTube and all these other ways to get highlights that we never had access to growing up.
And in today's society, I don't think the cussing and stuff like that is looked on as bad as it was 30, 40 years ago. Either.
Definitely not. It's not.
Especially when you have all these athletes that get mic'd up during games and you literally hear them cussing live on the air because of the mics.
Because if you think about it, even during the last Michael Jordan last dance, hell, he was dropping F-bombs during that. That was one of the first times you saw that on ESPN.
I mean, that man had a drink and he already looked drunk.
but different. But Jay, to your point, all people are different. Some people, there are still people out there that won't listen to something because they hear it. Fuck. But there's a lot more people now that will than won't. I think that like there used to be.
And I'm not saying like curse for the hell of it.
No,
what I'm saying is people like to hear that authentic reaction. Like to me, when I watch shows, you kind of related to your culture, how you grew up. When you in the barbershop and y'all talking sports, how does that conversation go? And you can look at a barbershop conversation and you'll probably be like, I'll watch that shit if it was a show. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hilarious. You know, you got a couple jokes in there. You know, they done talked about how KD don't brush his hair. You know what I'm saying? Like, all type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it, man. I mean, there's ways to be authentic. I mean, cussing doesn't make you authentic. I don't give a what anybody says. Cussing don't make you authentic. Viewpoints make you authentic. Cussing is just weakness, honestly. And I'm weak too because I cuss. So it don't make you authentic.
I'm saying you want to hear that authentic reaction. I don't want to hear, yes, today what happened in the news and you know sometimes.
Well, no, but again, I
know dudes that can talk how I'm talking about and not say a single curse word, but they be like, "Oh man, come on, bro, you for real?" Like you want to hear the real reaction because that's what you're relating to. You know what I mean?
The only person I know that cussing is authentic is Richard Pryor.
And there's a difference.
I love me some Richard Pryor. Don't get it twisted.
Like Rob said, there's a difference between just cussing to be cussing, or if you're saying something and it comes out here and there. But if you're just saying the F word to try to say it 30 times in 2 minutes, there's a difference in that than if it's just coming out authentically in a conversation.
And I think that's why streaming is more popular now. Like, first of all, the cable bills were too high. So we know money was an issue.
Bro, you ain't lying. Johnson taught me the way of that being true.
But also, you look at streaming platforms. A lot of these people that have started podcasts and gotten with these streaming platforms, like Chris and Dustin was saying earlier, they have more creative control. So, and I can get away with more too. It's kind of like watching a podcast on HBO if this was back in the day. Like if you saw it on Fox or you saw it on ABC, CBS, they couldn't curse. But when you got to see the uncut version, the uncensored version on Showtime or HBO, then you kind of enjoyed the uncut version more because you like, okay, that's what this dude really wanted to say. Like, you know what I mean? Or that's what this woman really wanted to say. Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, perfect example of that is Howard Stern.
Oh my God.
Oh, bro, we're going Howard Stern. Holy crap!
Everybody watched Howard Stern. Everybody watched Howard Stern, dude. I was watching Howard Stern as a kid, dude. I wasn't supposed to watch something like that.
Oh, Howard Stern. That's the only man that brings strippers on the show, and it'd be all good.
Hey, but he was himself. And sometimes when you're being yourself, you have more fun. Like, you're not going to have the fun you want to have at work because there's a work Jay and there's an at-home Jay. When you're out and you're celebrating a work dinner with your coworkers or something like that, you're not going to drink to get drunk like you would at home because you still need to be in full control of yourself while you're in front of these people.
Of course. Of course. Unless the boss gets drunk, and then after that, it's all.
No, the boss is the only person that can get drunk because who's going to fire the boss?
I done been in some work functions where the boss was 3 seats to the wind, so I'd just be laughing. I'd just be like, man, look at this.
Yeah, but if you be 3 seats in the wind,
it's game over.
You're gonna become the topic of conversation for the morning coffee huddle.
Oh man.
Did you see Jay drunk ass last night?
Did any of you guys watch the match last night with Kelsey and Mahomes against Curry and Thompson?
I heard Kelsey Mahomes won, but I didn't catch it.
Were they playing golf?
Yeah, they're playing golf. Kelsey and Mahomes kicked Curry and Thompson's ass.
They did. I know.
Kelsey looks like he'd be a good golfer.
Draymond was out there with Curry and Thompson. That's kind of like their coach, and you had Von Miller out there with Kelsey and Mahomes.
Wait, hold on. Is Von Miller going to Kansas City?
I was wondering why he was out there not playing for Kansas City.
Hey, if you put Von Miller in Kansas City, you might as well go ahead and get him a ring now. Go ahead and give him a ring.
Yep. But that's the truth.
But it was entertaining. It was fun to watch because they had them all of them were mic'd up, and you could hear them talking trash back and forth.
Oh, I know they was talking trash.
So it was pretty entertaining. Now, Klay Thompson isn't very good at golf. He's better than me, so I'm not judging.
Man, hey, listen, I'm horrible at golf.
I was terrible, but yeah, he went very good. Actually, Kelsey was actually better at golf than what I was expecting. He hit some good shots last night.
I don't know. I kind of thought Kelsey looked like he could play the game.
The big man might be a little bit of a finesse, you know. He is a tight end, and there's a spot when you're a tight end where brute force meets a little bit of finesse.
Yeah, he had one.
I'll tell you what. The golf is such a hard game to play.
Hold on, Jake. What'd you say, Chris?
He hit this shot off it was off like the pine straw, and he had to go through like a couple trees, and he hit it perfect right between the trees. And he looked up at the camera and he goes, "It's all about these hands, baby, all about these hands." But yeah, he was talking all kinds of crap. And they were Steph Curry almost ran over a kid. Steph Curry almost ran over a kid with a golf cart.
God.
Kid, he went to take off, and the kid jumped out trying to get an autograph, and he almost ran him over because they were all drinking and stuff too. But some of these fans have to be more cautious of what they're doing. You can't just barge out there. But Steph stopped and asked the kid if he was okay, but he almost I think if I remember right, I think Kelsey actually did hit somebody.
Oh, Lord.
You know Kelsey gets drunk.
Yeah. Kelsey looked like he'd be some 6-packs down at the golf course.
He hit one shot, and he did his whole "you have to fight for your right to party" thing right after he hit the shot.
For your right to party.
Yeah, you jabroni.
Yeah, they were having a good time. And there wasn't.
You gotta love that man.
There wasn't a whole lot on TV last night to watch. I watched some of that. I watched some baseball, but for a little bit. But my Reds didn't play last night. We had an off day last night, so. I watched a little bit of baseball, but I turned it over and started watching some of that to see what that was after I got back home last night.
I was at the gym killing myself.
Chris, do you
And
follow
I
the
came
rookie
home and
leagues
went
at
to
all?
sleep.
A little bit. I haven't watched followed much lately.
The rookie league, the Dominican Dodgers are 21-0 right now.
I did see 21-0. I did see where the Texas Rangers had the most all-star starters at 4.
Yep.
Reds have 0 all-star starters. We had a chance for one, but
You would have had 2 if they were called up opening day.
Yep, I agree. But I think we'll still have a chance to get at least one, maybe at least 2 guys on the all-star team.
I don't know. Tucker, 281, 5 RBIs last night, home run. Can't even get on the damn all-star team. Go figure that shit.
I think
Bregman has 3 grand slams on the season, but yeah, he can't get on the team either.
I think our
Because
closer
Bregman's also only hitting like 230.
No, you're wrong. Go back and look at the stat again. He's not hitting
Has
230.
he gotten better now? Finally.
Hey, if you'd watch and pay attention, you'd know that.
I think Diaz will get on the all-star team for the Reds, our closer. And then I still think Matt McClain has a good chance of getting on of making the all-star team as well. Dela Cruz, if he'd got brought up earlier in the year, I think would have had a real good shot of getting on the all-star team. But he's only been.
I still think Dela Cruz can get on.
Yeah, I think with Judge being out, I think Kyle Tucker will get in there. If Kyle Tucker doesn't get in there with Judge being on the disabled list, then I'm telling you right now, it's rigged. Ain't no way the number 2 guy in AL at his position doesn't make the All-Star team. It just makes sense. Even as an alternate, I'm surprised he didn't get on as an alternate.
Well, they haven't announced alternates yet.
Oh, I thought they did. I thought the whole thing was announced.
All they announced was the starters. They'll announce the rest of the positions this weekend.
Okay. Yeah, because I get Aaron Judge, being the right fielder because Aaron Judge does have the history to back it up. But I do think in stat guy. I mean, I know you know stats, so you'll know this. Kyle Tucker is really underrated. He's so under the radar for how he's playing and has played. It's crazy at that right field position.
Yeah, he is a very underrated player, but then you have to consider. I know the All-Star game is primarily a fan vote, so the fans are going to vote for who they want to see. But when you look at a lot of the right fielders in the American League, Kyle Tucker's name is not the sexy name to put there.
Say that one more time. You cut it out. You cut out on my fade.
Kyle Tucker, when you look at all the right fielders in the American League, Kyle Tucker doesn't have the most sexiest name to put in the All-Star game.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
Fans are the ones that vote for the starters. The manager is the one that picks the reserves, and a lot of times the fans are just voting for the popular player just because they want to see the popular player. They're not necessarily looking.
I get that. I mean, it's like that in other sports too. I mean, baseball's not the only one that does that. I mean, it's. I mean, hell, look at the NBA MVP, right? I mean, you know that's all fan-based and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of politics that go into it. I'm not mad that Judge got the starting nod over Kyle Tucker, by the way. I mean, Aaron Judge has, played at a superstar level, so I'm not mad at that. I just think that Kyle Tucker, though, I think a lot of people overlook, like you said, and maybe it's a sexy name, the fan base, what have you. I mean, that probably does have a lot to do with it. I just feel like he definitely gets overlooked, especially what he's doing.
Only thing I don't like is I don't think Judge should have got the starting position for the All-Star team when you're injured and not playing.
Yeah, but I think that goes back to what Stat Guy's saying, which makes absolute sense because of what you said and what he said makes sense because it's the fans, it's popularity. I mean,
if I'm spending $300 to go watch the All-Star game, I'm not voting for Kyle Tucker, no matter how good he is. I'm voting for Shohei. I'm voting for Shohei. I'm voting for Mike Trout. I'm voting for Julio Rodriguez.
Mike Trout. Well, man, Mike Trout, I don't know, man. I mean, I get how, what he's lived off his past life, but I get what you're saying too.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like even like if it's not like a diehard baseball fan, but if you're a casual fan that's just going to the All-Star game because it's in your hometown and it's something that comes there every 30 to 35 years, and so the next time it comes to your hometown, they're going to be an entirely different generation of players. You're going to vote for Mike Trout because you want to see him. You're going to vote for Shohei because you want to see him. You're going to vote for Julio Rodriguez or Carlos Correa or a lot of these players who are not having great seasons because you want to see them. It's not about if they deserve to be there or not. It's about.
I understand. Yeah. That's trust me. And specifically that point and that point alone is why I don't give a damn about the All-Star break. I only care about where we wind up in the playoffs. I mean, that's all I care about. The All-Star stuff, that's just fluff. That's the fluff. I just want the meat and potatoes. And the meat and potatoes are in the playoffs. You know, I think we'll all agree on that.
Trout's hitting 260 right now. So he's not, I mean, like he's hitting, like he's playing terrible.
I think that slump, Chris, I think that slump he fell into hurt him.
That's terrible for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's bad. Yeah, but I mean, compared to the rest of the league, it's not. But yeah, I mean, that's low for him. He hit 283 last year.
Yeah, he fell into that slump for a hot minute. Remember, he just came out of that slump. I think it was a game or two ago.
Yeah, but I mean, that happens to everybody. Where you go through your little slump throughout the season.
Oh, I get that too. Everybody goes through slumps. I mean, that's just part of hitting. That's part of baseball.
No, dude, there's Reds fans that want Dela Cruz back in the minors.
Well, that's stupidity, but yeah, I get it. I mean, I don't get it, but I understand where you're coming from. Like, come on, man.
Dude had six. Dude hit the ball.
You can't put that dude back in the minors the way he's playing.
He had like 2 games where he didn't get a hit, and all these a bunch of these Reds fans and some of these chat groups on him.
But see, it's so unrealistic. Baseball's not like that.
We need to send him back. We need to send him back to the minors. He hasn't got a hit for 2 games. I told you guys they brought him up too soon. It's like, are you guys? It's baseball.
But again, I think that goes back to what Stat Guy says. Those are casual fans and not like real fans of the game. You know, that's a casual fan response. You know,
it's like the dude's playing good.
Now, if you said Seth Martinez belongs in Class A ball, I would definitely agree with you on that. 185%.
And that's just like
we have relievers. I don't want them to think I'm totally biased on that.
And then they were doing the same thing to one of our relievers the other night, Farmer. Over the last month and a half, he has gave up like 0 runs in his outings. The other night he came in the other night and gave up 3 runs in the 8th inning, and everybody wants to ship him back to A ball. It's like, as a reliever, there's going to be nights where you give something up, but most of the time this season he hasn't gave anything up. But it's like
and that's where you got to look at all the metrics of it, right? Because a casual fan won't look at all the metrics. They just look at what's going on right there in front of them at that given moment, and you can't do that. That's not fair.
No, the Reds are 40-2 when leading going in the 8th inning. They're 40-2.
Well, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah. The big problem hasn't been our bullpen. Could our bullpen get a little better? Yes. Our bullpen can always get better, but our starting pitching, with all the injuries we've had, we already didn't have a great starting pitching staff, but then you have the injuries. Our starting pitching is what worries me more than our bullpen. Our starting pitching.
Oh yeah, I got 3 starting pitchers right now that are all done for the season because of one injury or another. Garcia's got Tommy John, freaking McCullers has forearm, and Urquidy, I think he's got some kind of either oblique or shoulder. I think he's a shoulder issue. I mean, so you lose 3 of your starters right there. I mean,
we got 3 starters out, and then now they're saying that Hunter Green, the hip injury is worse than what they thought. That he's probably going to be out till at least August now. So.
Oh, I know the whole injury world. Hey, we got 3 starters, and we got Alvarez out, and we got Brantley out. I don't know when Brantley's ever going to come back. He may not ever come back.
We're getting ready to get a couple. We're getting ready to get a couple of our relievers back, and hopefully one of our starters back here soon. But I know we're getting a couple of our relievers back.
Man, it's amazing to me. Urquidy's been on the 60-day IL like 148 games ago or 148 days ago. So I don't know how you can go be put on a 60-day IL when you've been on the IL for like 140 days. I mean, I'm being exaggerated, but he's been on the damn IL way more than 60 days.
You know what the 60-day IL basically is, right?
That's almost like you're done for the season type of deal.
It's basically you put them on the IL as long as they need to be there because it frees up a roster spot to bring somebody else on.
Oh, and I understand that. That's how they're able to bring JP France and Bilac and that Blanco kid up.
Yeah, you don't have to release anybody. You don't have to like make a 40-man roster move. You add a guy to the 60-day IL. The minimum stay is 60 days, which is basically 2 months. But then there's like another 60-day window after that, so they can be on there for 120 days.
Yeah, and I think that's where he's on right now because I know he's gone past 60 damn days, so he's got to be on his second stint of the 60-day. My thing is with Brantley. Like, at what point do you say, look, he's done for the season because they say he's taking batting practice on the field, but still, I mean, that's great. He's taking batting practice, but when's the dude going to play?
He'll probably be back after All-Star break.
I hope so. I mean, honestly, we need him back like as of yesterday, truthfully, because he has a good bat, and we could use that bat at the DH spot, but what else? We'll see. I'm not really worried so much about Brantley as I am our bullpen. Our bullpen is way more of an issue than whether or not Brantley does or does not come back, honestly.
Well, if your bullpen's been struggling, your starting pitching must be been decent because you guys only have a 3.62 team ERA. So
yeah, we were at I think we were at 3.58 a couple of days ago. So I think it did blow up a little bit, but no, starting pitching. Truthfully, JP France hasn't really truly been that bad. Now Bilac, that dude's been horrible. Like he's horrible. Like go look at his ERA. I think it's like in the 4. I think it's like a 4.58. For me, that's bad.
I know you guys have had injuries, but one thing that's hurt you guys to start the season is kind of like the same as you guys started last year. You guys started out hitting the ball slow.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Now you guys are up to hitting. Now you're up to hitting 246 as a team. But I remember a few weeks ago, you guys were like at 230.
Yeah, because like I said, well, one of those things was one of the issues. Number one was Bregman. Bregman was the way his arm was positioned. He was about like 202. Brian McCann gives him a call and says, "Yo, square up your shoulders, bring your forearm up a little bit," and he does that. And now the dude's like 258. I believe was the last time I looked at it. Was it yesterday? He's about like 258. Hitting, grand slams. I think he's had like 3 grand slams since he fixed his swing. So he's doing better. My problem is with Abreu. How's this dude, the runner-up last year in the National League to Player of the Year behind Goldschmidt, comes over here and just he's not put up a goose egg, but he ain't far from it either. He's got like 5 home runs. I think he's batting around 234. Come on, Abreu. This is not who you were last year. Why all of a sudden? Is it new pitching because he came from the National League to the American League?
Are you talking Jose Abreu?
Yeah, the one that plays first base for the Astros.
He was with the White Sox last year, so he
came over from the White Sox. So he was actually AL last year. I apologize.
But yeah, you could.
Oh, wait. Was he? Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
You could see the writing on the wall last year for Jose Abreu, though. I mean, yes, the guy hit over a 300 average-wise last year, but he had 15 home runs last year. The lowest total of his career, because even during that COVID shortened season in 2020, he still had 19 home runs that year.
Well, the home run doesn't really bother me. If you drop from 19 to, that's not what bothers me. What bothers me is the average. Like his average was much better. Like you said, he's batting around 300 this year. He's batting around 232. That's a huge, dramatic drop in 1 year's time or less.
Well, I mean, not really. I mean. 2021, he was 251. So he actually had a bounce back year in 2022, but you could already start seeing it in 2021. He was starting to decline already. That's because he's going on 37 years old. He's at the
of his career. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of guys, though, that have been in the league at that age and still were putting up better numbers than 232. And usually it should have been more of a gradual fall off, not like, oh, hey, look, I just jumped off a cliff from last year to this year.
Frankie says because
I know what Frankie said. We all know Frankie. Hey, Frankie. and you know what the crazy thing is if you look at Verlander over there with the Mets, he's not even playing good. He's got a high ERA, much higher than he did last year. Verlander's not looking good either. So even if we did have Verlander, he wouldn't be doing any better for us than he was for the Mets or what we're doing right now.
Yeah, I haven't watched much this year. I don't watch much of the Mets. I see highlights and stuff, but Frankie said Joe Harris just got traded to the Pistons.
Oh, okay. I don't know if that really moves the needle too much for Detroit, but for he got 2 future second-round picks for him. And really move their needle one way or the other. Maybe a little better leadership.
I think it's a good pickup for them, because they have such a young team, so they need. They
give them a little veteran leadership over there. I can see that, and that might be. And sometimes that veteran leadership can really, get the most out of those younger guys. So I can see how that. Hopefully it'll matriculate for them. I mean, Detroit was pretty rough last year. I thought Houston was bad, but Detroit was even worse.
And it creates almost $20 million in cap space for Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn's really got a lot to think about where the direction of that team is going now that all their superstars have gone, and your best player is probably Miguel Bridges. I mean, where does that team go from here?
They build around Ben Simmons.
Oh, man. No, really, where do they go? You definitely don't want to build your team around a head case. That's for damn sure.
I think that sounds like a great idea. Let's build around Ben Simmons.
Frankie says that they never had superstars. Well, they had quote unquote superstars. They just couldn't do anything with them.
No, they had superstars. They just had superstars that couldn't play together.
Pretty much
because they all play the same style of basketball.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now they're going to try to do the same. Go do the same thing in Phoenix.
Durant, Irving, and Harden are all superstars, but the problem is they all play the same style of basketball. They all want the ball in their hands. They all want to take that shot.
And now
they didn't compliment.
And now they're going to try to put the same team together in Phoenix. Not the exact same team, but still players that need the ball.
No, it might as well be the exact same team. Well, because the team might not be the same, but the situation is still the same, right? So you might as well say it's the same damn team. Who got the coach over there? I forgot who got there. Who after Monty left? Who became their head coach?
Frank Vogel.
Frank Vogel.
Frank Vogel. Okay, he did a lot
of
for the Lakers last year.
He's a good coach. He's a good coach.
I didn't see him. I think Frank Vogel, for me, I haven't watched a whole lot of Frank Vogel, so I don't want to comment too much on him. But for what I saw, what he did with LA, I was not impressed. But again, that's hard to do something with that LA squad. So
they won a championship when Vogel was there. They won a championship when.
You're talking about? Is that when they won it? Well, that's when they won it in the bubble, and then they went from that team to some kind of dysfunctional. I'm talking about the dysfunctional team that came back and actually played the year after.
He was the scapegoat in that. That wasn't all. I don't think that was all his fault. I know this when he was in Indiana, he had the Pacers as a relevant team that was actually competing. And in my opinion, I think Frank Vogel's a better coach than Monty Williams.
Yeah, I'm not really sold on Monty Williams. I want to see what Monty Williams does up in Detroit now. That really is.
Monty Williams got all that money. Vogel got close to that amount of money.
Well, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I agree what you're saying. And Monty Williams, he had a lot of good, talented guys out there in Phoenix. So now that he's going up to Detroit, with all these rookies up there and basically taking a team that finished almost dead last, last year. If he can bring that team up to a level like where the Phoenix Suns were last year or even somewhere in there, then I'll start giving him that mad respect because that takes a lot to build up a team. So we'll see what he does. Time will tell.
Yeah, I've always liked Frank Vogel as a coach, but of course he was here with the Pacers for some years, and I've seen him a lot.
That's what I'm saying. You have a better perspective on Frank Vogel than I would. I only know him from the bubble year and then the year after the bubble where they got rid of Kuzma and KCP and all those guys, and that's when Braun and AD started going on their injury hiatuses, and then Vogel was there with Westbrook trying to put all that back together. And that really, like you said, that really was set up for failure. I mean, I don't know how many coaches could really make that work. Hell, and then your front office was a mess too, because nobody knew who was running the team because Palenka gave up control to Rambus and all the other people that came in trying to offer their little 2 cents.
The only thing that worries me a little bit with Vogel and Pheonix with this roster is he's a defensive coach, and you don't have a whole lot of
you have no defense
players. You don't have a whole lot of players that play defense. So that what
do you think that he can get those guys to learn to play defense, though? Do you think he can get them to buy in to play defense? Can he be the psychological guru that is going to take to make sure that Kyrie Irving, if he do sign him, doesn't go on hiatuses? Yeah, right. Okay, Frank. Got you. I don't know if they're smarter than Houston. Matter of fact, I'm going to say they're not at this point. Not in my mind. I seen that shit show they got running over there in the front office. You ain't going to guarantee me that. I don't care how many banners they had.
But it's you traded away a player just to make a trade to bring him back.
Now, again, you don't know what all that was. I don't really know what all that was. I'm sure there was some financials into that. I don't think they're just bringing it back to bring him back. I think that's what they gave you because they didn't give you all the details of what they're doing. You made the Western Conference Finals and lost and got blew out. Let's not make it anything more than what it was.
All right, let's get the final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Frank, you suck.
Let's get the final thoughts for this great Friday going into 4th of July weekend, and
absolutely.
I know I'm planning on just listening to live music and relaxing this weekend. So other than that, that's about all I'm really got planned for this weekend. Go watch a little bit of Money in the Bank tomorrow before I head out there. But of course, I'll watch the Reds. Reds play tonight, and we start a series with the Padres today. So,
Jay, man, my final thoughts are. This is going to be a very, very, very intense next 4 days for the Astros. It's going to be a very intense weekend. Thank God we got, like you said, a little bit of, festivities over the weekend to kind of balance it out a little bit. But we got to play the Texas Rangers, Gonzo. We got a 4-game road trip to Arlington against the Rangers. And right now we're sitting at 5 games back of the Rangers. And if they can win 2 out of the 4, I'll be happy. If they win 3 out of the 4, I'll be elated. If they win 4 out of the 4, I'll pass the hell out. If they won 1 out of the 4, I'll probably just go back into depression. So I don't know.
What if they lose all 4?
Shut up.
No, that's the question. What if they lose all 4?
Nobody asked you.
Hey, I'll tell you what.
Look pretty.
They lose all 4. Jay's going to be drunk all weekend.
Man, if they lose all 4, you won't see me till next year. No, in all honesty, man, I mean, hey, could it happen? I mean, the Rangers are playing hot baseball right now. They did take a loss, or was it yesterday? It was either yesterday or the day before yesterday. They actually took a loss, and they haven't lost very much at all. But we'll see, man. We'll see.
They're 2-3 over the last 5 games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I knew they had lost. I knew they had lost 1 game out of in that 3. I just can't remember which one it was, but it was to the Tigers. It was an opening game against the Tigers series that they had lost. That's the game I'm thinking of. But
Rangers and Astros are both 2-3 over their last 5 games.
Yeah. I'm not really saying too much for Houston because we did play St. Louis, man. So it is what it is with that. I just want to say though, 5 RBIs, 14-0 over St. Louis, man. I'm hoping that's a momentum driver. I'm hoping the fact that they're coming off 2 wins, their last 2 wins against St. Louis, will give them a momentum going into this Rangers series. Because this Rangers series, I mean, it's huge, right? You got the Rangers for 4 games. You got the Colorado Rockies for 2. And then you go back to Seattle for 4, and then we're at the All-Star break. So literally, we got 2 divisional opponents, 8 games. I mean, this could be the telltale sign that puts us into the All-Star break feeling good about ourselves, or puts us into the All-Star break saying, fuck it, we'll wait and see what happens next year. I mean, so we'll see, man. We'll see.
Stat guy, what's your final thoughts?
Just want to wish everyone a safe and happy 4th of July weekend, and basically just to have a fun 4th. Be safe, be smart. try to stay hydrated because I guess 90% of the country is going to be in oppressive heat warnings all weekend into next week. So,
oh yeah, it's hot. I know it's hot here, and there's a chance of rain tomorrow. I'm hoping it don't rain all damn day tomorrow. But
and I want to say if Houston Astros lose all 4 games to Texas, then Jay has to come on this show next week with no beard.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But that's
you're not that confident that they'll win at least one.
No, I'm just not losing my damn beard for shit. Hey, look, it took a long time to get back to here. Dustin, I'm not going to do it. And last time I shaved, everybody made fun of me. So no.
Frankie said it's crazy hot in New York.
I don't know how it's crazy hot in New York unless y'all are getting this damn Texas heat wave. By the way, this heat wave, Gonzo, it's crazy stupid, man. Be glad you live out there in Indiana, man.
It's hot here.
Yeah, today up in Wisconsin, it's 93 degrees, but with humidity, it's 102. So, I mean, it's...
Yeah, I mean, I guess but you also got some damn wildfires to the north of you.
No, not today. Not today. We're finally out of our air quality warning.
I was going to say, well, it's actually not smoky here today.
The wind is coming out of the south now, so it's blowing the smoke back the other direction.
Well, I'll tell you what. Hey, all I know is the last 2 weeks has been better than 110 in a lot of days, man. And I think they're supposed to say this weekend we might get to 119, maybe push 120. You know what I say to that? Oh, hell no. I'm glad my AC's working.
Is the humidity as bad there as it is?
It has been when it's rained. It hasn't rained in a while, so now it's just dry heat right now.
Yeah, now it's Arizona heat down there.
Yeah, but it's still damn hot. Go outside.
No,
your ass will pass out in the first.
I was just asking, dude, that humidity kicks your
ass.
I know,
out. Trust me. But usually Houston does get a fair amount of rain, over the summer. But it hasn't rained for nothing, truthfully, and it's been crazy.
Frankie said the last time you shaved that beard, he almost got divorced.
Man, yeah, it was not pretty, man. It wasn't pretty at all. So I don't recommend it.
But no,
I don't recommend it.
My final thoughts are about the same. Everybody stay safe over the 4th of July weekend. Be smart. Don't drink and drive. Be careful with your fireworks. Don't blow your hand off or something. Have a good time. Got big UFC on Saturday. Got baseball. You also got WWE Money in the Bank tomorrow. That starts at 3 p.m. Eastern. So I'm definitely going to watch a little bit of that. I'll probably watch the rest of it when I get home or on Sunday, depending on what time I head out there. A lot of that's going to depend on the weather. If it's pouring down rain, I'm going to wait a little bit before I go before I head to the cookout. But at least he does have the band's playing is set up in this big garage. So
oh hell yeah,
the rain won't affect that.
I did misspeak though today. It's actually 50% humidity today, and the temperature is 105. So, Jay, look, unless I got SPF 236 and an ice pack on, I don't think I'm going outside today.
105, hell, that's a little cool.
It is a little cool. I was expecting 110.
We appreciate everybody in the comment section. Thanks for joining us. I'll be back here in about 10-15 minutes with Easy Money, a sports betting show. We're going to give out our picks for today's Major League Baseball games and for tomorrow's UFC fights. So join us for that here in about 15 minutes. Big shout out to Frankie, Jay, Dustin, Rob Scott, everybody that came on the show today. And we will see you guys back on Monday for another episode of the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. Hope everybody has a great weekend.
Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces.